Oh boy, take a look at that. Huh, that Lori McBride sure is brazen. Those are suspicious looking clouds. This is over the western sky. And I do have a bit of a sore throat too. Another view of those chemtrail clouds. There's a chemtrail in action. I don't know if we're able to catch it or not. The sun is so bright now. Doing some pretty deep Bible study into Revelation and the Bible for my novel Silver Skies 1996 version. Areas of concentration are the Battle of Gog and Magog in Ezekiel 38 and 39, which will be a horde of Islamic nations, Russia, Turkey, Iran, nations just south of Russia, Sudan, and Libya, that attack Israel in the last days. The last third of my novel takes place during the 7-year tribulation, and my villain is the Antichrist. I have a main character who will learn that the Antichrist is a close family member. Can't say more or I'll ruin the book for you. Jesus makes some appearances in the book, but is not a point of view character. As I brainstorm for the plot for the last third of the book, I felt a need to go deep into Ezekiel 38 and 39 and invasion, which I believe will be a two-part attack, with the first attack, Ezekiel 38, during the second seal in the trib, and the second attack, Ezekiel 39, at the same time as the final battle or Battle of Armageddon. Though I'm writing a novel or a work of fiction, I feel a need to do extensive research into Bible prophecy so that the readers will feel that this book's world is believable as part of Bible prophecy. This is quite a challenge, even for one like myself, who's read the King James Bible from cover to cover hundreds of times. First off, the King James translation is not 100% accurate, so I felt the need to listen to teachers I respect like Andy Wood, Arnold Fruchtenbaum, and others. I'm also listening to some Pentecostal leaders who are dispensational and premillennial because they seem to have a gift for making alive the events of the last days. I'm pretty sure I'll open many of the scenes in the latter part of the book with the opening of each seal, the blast of each trumpet, and the bowl judgments as scene openings. I'll use omniscient or God's eye point of view to open with these, and then move quickly into the point of view character in that scene. The reason I'll probably do this is because each of these judgments affect the Antichrist, who will be the mover for the plot in these scenes. Though I may not portray all he does, I need to know what he's doing so I can make these scenes work. I'll be plotting a hidden story that covers all his events to work with the main plot, even though all the Antichrist events will not be depicted in the main plot. The Antichrist will be causing a lot of trouble for my protagonist. My protagonist's job will be to lead the nation of Israel to accept Jesus as their Messiah. My main character will also be concerned with keeping his true love alive. The fantasy element to the novel will come in because my Christian main characters will be time traveled into the tribulation, bypassing the rapture. Jesus will be making an exception for them to help out tribulation saints. Though I will depict the rapture as happening before the tribulation starts, I will have a bit of a delay after the rapture before the tribulation starts, and the tribulation starts when the Antichrist signs his peace deal with Israel. There will be other things going on that will put this book into the Christian fantasy category, borderline mainstream. The 144,000 are also prominent characters in my novel. Don't need to do more research on them, I don't think. They're pretty straightforward. They are 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, Jewish missionaries for Jesus in the trib. In my novel, they cannot be killed because they each have a special seal from Jesus that protects them. Which reminds me, I think I'll have to rewrite the plot because they cannot be killed. It's a minor fix. I can still make this character work. I will have a prominent character in the end who is one of these missionaries, unless I change my mind. I have an Antichrist who is on a rage beheading Christians and anybody he doesn't like, doing deep studies on the Russia, Turkey, Iran, Sudan, Libya attack on Israel, which will greatly affect the plot. Also, I'm doing deep studies on Babylon the Great, Revelation 17 and 18, Isaiah 13 and 14, Jeremiah 50 and 51, and all over. I believe Babylon the Great is the actual city of Babylon, which will be rebuilt. However, I'm still researching to try and decide when it will be destroyed. I think I tend to agree with Fruchtenbaum, who feels that ecclesiastical Babylon will be destroyed before political Babylon. Then you have the problem that the Antichrist is depicted in the Bible as being of Roman origin from the same nation that destroyed Jerusalem after the Jewish nation rejected Jesus. I think I will have the Antichrist be a pope or something like a pope for this reason, not sure yet. However, there will definitely be a Roman Catholic connection to the Antichrist. This will satisfy the Antichrist being of Roman origin. He will be of European ancestry also, from a country that was part of the Roman Empire. Though right now I am thinking of making the Antichrist an American of European ancestry, I have some surprises here that I don't want to divulge. However, in my novel, the Roman Catholic Church will evolve and amalgamate itself into a false church conglomerate, Spiritual Babylon the Great, that just borrows Catholic buildings and other buildings for its meeting places. But it will be Roman in character, so it will be called Church of Rome in my novel. Then you have the problem of the Antichrist being the actual child of Satan. How do I work this when I know for sure that Angelina Ballerina and Laurie McBride have both had Antichrist powers? And as far as I know, neither was actually conceived by Satan as their dad. Yet the Bible seems to make it clear the Antichrist will literally be Satan's child. I have some ideas here that I can't divulge without destroying some surprises. So I'm doing an in-depth study of the Antichrist and Babylon the Great. You might say that the Bible makes it plain the Antichrist is a man. So how do Angelina Ballerina and Laurie McBride come into this? Here's where my novel will go into fantasy. I'm thinking of making the Antichrist a shapeshifter. Don't forget that Satan can take on many forms, and this Antichrist is literally Satan incarnate. The Antichrist in female form is transgender woman in my novel. Another problem I have to work out is that the Bible seems to indicate that the Antichrist will have a son. I have an Antichrist son in my novel who will go into the millennium, but the Bible makes it plain that his son or children will die. Brainstorming all this to ensure biblical accuracy, but I need that son to be part of my sequel, Silver Skies the Millennium. It is a fantasy, so I can work with this, but if I flaunt biblical prophecy too much, it will ruin the believability of the story for those who love the Bible, which I suspect may be a large group of my readers. But you know, the world deserves a story like this. It will be so refreshing, with so much truth in it, unlike a lot of the propaganda New World Order trash coming out of Hollywood. Yup, I expect it to be a movie. Just about everything I write ends up that way. And yet the Antichrist is above the love of women. So how do I work this? I'll figure it out. When you write a novel that has Bible prophecy as its background, there's a lot of research involved. Fortunately, I'm a Bible college grad and I've read the Bible a lot. But even then, it's a tough background to develop for a high fantasy novel, and my world needs to be meticulously researched for it to work for this story. There are so many angles to consider to be true to the Bible and keep my fantasy story world believable. I will have Babylon, the actual rebuilt city in Iraq, as the Antichrist capital, so I'm doing lots of Bible study and research on Babylon the Great. Boy, will I make this Babylon an impressive city. It will be the world's economic and political capital during the tribulation, so that when it goes down, everybody's money goes down too. I've decided against the Antichrist being a Muslim because in my novel, the Islamic nations will be pretty weak after their major defeat during Seal 2. Also, the Jews would never sign a peace deal with a Muslim leader. Of course, when the Antichrist becomes the abomination of desolation mid-trib, he could be a Muslim to spite the Jews. Not sure if I'll play with this yet. But then he'll be eliminating all religions at this point too, so it doesn't make sense for him to be a Muslim. The only religion allowed mid-trib will be the worship of himself. I think I'll have ecclesiastical Babylon burned by fire first, and it will be located in another city besides Babylon in Iraq. And then when the actual city in Iraq is burned by fire, that will happen right at the time of the final battle as part of the campaign of Armageddon. My research has given me the idea that some Jesus followers will be responsible for the destruction of the actual city of Babylon during the final battle. Got this idea from Fruchtenbaum. Fruchtenbaum thinks the Gog-Magog attack happens before the tribulation. He believes this because it takes 7 years to burn all the weapons, and he can't see this happening during the trib. However, I tend to agree with Andy Woods. I think the Gog-Magog attack takes place at the second seal judgment in the trib in 2 parts, with the second part happening during the final battle. This means the burning of the weapons will go into the millennium. So doing deep Bible study on the timing of critical events during the tribulation, like the Gog-Magog attack, Antichrist activities, the 2 witnesses, the false prophet, the abomination of desolation when the Antichrist enters the Jewish temple and defiles it with idolatry. I'm having fun brainstorming this one. Another deep Bible study is the 10-nation federation that will back up the Antichrist and support him during the trib. Trib is shortcut for tribulation. 3 nations will rebel, and I've chosen those nations. Can't tell you, ruins the book. The Antichrist will kill their leaders. Mid-trib, he will gain worldwide power. I don't think the 10 nations are limited to the European Union mid-trib and afterwards, like some teach. In my novel, it will be 10 super regions of the entire world. This Antichrist dude will be powerful. However, I think I'll have the Antichrist an influential leader in the European Union in the first half of the trib, but by mid-trib, his reign and control is worldwide. My main characters will be part of an underground effort that opposes the Antichrist. You might say there are those who don't believe in a 7-year tribulation and they won't find your world believable. That's okay. When it happens, they'll realize they're wrong. Those folks will be part of the false church conglomerate or Babylon the Great in my novel. Duh. What about the 70th week of Daniel, you amillennialists out there? Have also made a deep study into Petra, where I'll have the Jewish nation living in the last half of the trib. Though Dr. Ruckman's off in a lot of areas, I like some of his ideas that I get from watching his Revelation slide presentation. He did a pretty good job with paintings depicting some of the wild creatures that'll show up in the trib. They will be populating my novel. Anyways, there is a tremendous amount of research going into my novel, Silver Skies 1996 version. I think my novel will probably be the most biblically accurate depiction of the trib that has ever been done in a novel, as well as being a compelling and enduring story that I hope will be an inspiration to future tribulation saints and those of us who want to honor righteousness and love today. To help me depict the tribulation world, I've also ordered the book The Babylon Code by Paul McGuire, which seems like it'll really help me understand the deep workings of the New World Order or the Antichrist order. This will help me meticulously craft the political economic system that will rule the tribulation, where I will write with telling detail some of the edicts and mindset Satan uses to brainwash his followers. If anything, it might wake some people up when they see these trends today becoming popular and the rage among the God defiers amongst us. I personally believe the Antichrist is alive right now, or at least some of his future leaders are alive now. I'll have a Vladimir Putin evil clone in the book. I think I can give that away without destroying the book for you. Just finished skimming over Arnold Fruchtenbaum's Campaign of Armageddon and could see the climax to the novel in my mind. This book is going to be epic. I think I can match The Lord of the Rings. Been working on this book since 1993. Not non-stop though, because it's quite a challenging undertaking. Bible prophecy is complicated. The sequel, Silver Skies: The Millennium, will also be epic. That one will be more high fantasy than Silver Skies 1996 version, but should be just as epic. The villain will be Jesus Christ. You might say, what? Well, my main character will be a Millennium Rebel, an anti-hero, and there will be rebels in the Millennium. Millennium Rebels get a special punishment in the Millennium, which I will totally make up. Not sure the Millennium will be like this, but I'll make it very believable. But everything else in Silver Skies: The Millennium, besides this special millennial punishment for rebels, will be based on the Bible. And who knows, perhaps what I make up might really happen. The Bible doesn't cover everything that happens, just what God wants us to know. The main character will be sort of like Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights living in the Millennium. Jesus will be ruling with a rod of iron, and Urban, the main character, won't like it. You might say, people won't like to read about Urban because everybody loves Jesus. Wait, you think everybody loves Jesus? There is a hell, you know. This book, Silver Skies: The Millennium, will explore why some people don't love Jesus and will help us to understand them better, even if we don't side with them. I'm hoping God can use this book to win some rebels to him. It will be exploring pride as the root of all sin. But so I don't lose the Jesus lovers, Urban's story will also be seen through 2 point-of-view characters that I'll bring over from Silver Skies 1996 version, Dor and Brianna, who will be Jesus' favorites in the Millennium.